Hi, this is Rahul, and welcome to the first episode of Sportingly Academics. In this series, we explore into the fascinating world of sports through an academic lens. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. George Jennings, the program leader of the esteemed master degree program in Sports, Ethics, and Society, which is being offered at Cardiff Metropolitan University in the UK. The program stands out among other socio-cultural related sport programs as it focuses on the sociology and ethics of sports, offering unique perspective on the subject. Join us as we explore the significance of socio-cultural study of sport and the impact on shaping future careers in this exciting field. But before that, make sure you click the subscribe button of TimeOut Talkies, where we discuss values of sports and everything positive about sports. Don't miss out on our exciting, engaging content that explores the inspiring aspects of sports. Hi, George. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Rahul?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
So today we're going to discuss about the program, MA program you have in Cardiff Metropolitan University, which is on sports, ethics, and society.
Yes.
So, can you just tell me the main objective or purpose of this master's degree in sports, ethics, and society?
Yeah, certainly. So the Masters equips students with the knowledge and understanding of sports from the perspective of both sociology and ethics. So it tackles it in many ways a unique format. Whereas some Masters elsewhere may focus just on sociology or just on ethics, we try to combine both to give a holistic understanding of sport in society and the issues surrounding it.
Right. So, how does this program approach the study of sport from socio-cultural perspective? Can you provide some examples of topics covered in the curriculum?
Yes, certainly. We have two modules devoted to sociology or the socio-cultural perspective. One of them looks at sustainable practices in sport and physical cultures. So this is looking at how we may continue doing what we do in a more sustainable fashion without damaging the planet and society and culture. So that this focuses a lot on the United Nations sustainability goals. So it's quite topical in that way. Another one's looking more at the individual micro level of society from biographical analysis, where students can select a case study of a person they're interested in, their legacy in sport. So we're looking at people's legacies and their actions and the consequences of people's actions.
So, in what ways does the program focus on sociology of sports? Are there any specific theories or approaches that are emphasized?
Yes, so the first term, students learn a lot of grand theories of society, for example, from Anthony Giddens and Pierre Bourdieu, as well as more recent theories about certain things like globalization, for example, globalization, and particular concepts that we learned from my colleague, Professor David Brown. And then in the second term, I teach a variety of social scientific concepts that cross sociology into other borders like linguistics, for example, or social psychology, semiotics, for example. So we teach a broader approach to understanding human life, for example, through the symbols associated with life or the language and narratives used that people draw upon to tell their story. So we use a quite holistic approach between the mainstream sociology and things that are on the borders of sociology.
And how does the program address the ethical aspects of sports? Like what kind of ethical issues or dilemma are explored?
Okay, so the ethical issues may be from the sport itself or the individual and their character and their morality. So in one module, we're looking at the structures of sport and the ethical issues surrounding the existence of sport as a competitive entity, as a commercial entity, and some of the difficulties of managing the sport environment. And the other ones are more about the moral development of the person through sport. So could sport be the vehicle for becoming a better person? And if we remove some elements of sport, does that create an obstacle for human development?
So can you tell me about the innovative research and the information about the course content? Are there any recent developments or trend in the field that are integrated into the program?
Yes, well, the students can make the program their own in many ways. Some students specify or sort of specialize into one sport. So they might be a rugby specialist, they might be, say, a taekwondo specialist, and they often write essays or assignments about that activity. Others are really interested in a topic or the issue. Some people might be into the issue of gender integration or equality or equity. Others might be into the, for example, hormones and aspects of, for example, uniforms for women, female athletes in white uniforms. So that's quite a topical issue. So, for example, in cricket, tennis, and rugby, for example, where their shorts are often white. And other students are interested in concussion. So I just had a meeting this morning with my dissertation students who's interested in concussion in rugby, and he wants to extend that potentially into a PhD later, looking at other forms of contact sports and the lived experience of concussion. So it's very wide-ranging, really.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So can you elaborate on the scope and flexibility in assessment that the program offers?
Yes.
How do students have opportunity to pursue and develop their individual interests?
Yes. So, for example, the dissertation module, which is the big one at the end, the final project, is worth the equivalent of 3 regular modules. It's a really big piece of work, which the student can write either as a traditional dissertation, or they can write as if it's a journal article, and they can go on to any topic they would like to, and they could follow either a sociological approach, an ethical approach, or even maybe a combination of those, which sometimes can happen. There's also the independent study essay, where they write an essay of their choice, 5,000-word essay on a topic that could be about anything. So it could be about that. If, for example, they're an international student, it could be about their home culture, or maybe about a governing body. It could be a team. It could be about an event. And they use some theories from other modules and apply it to that particular topic. So it's very flexible, even inside the core modules as well. They select the sport they want to write about, or even the athlete as well.
And how do students typically apply the ideas and knowledge gained in the program to their future career aspirations? Can you provide some examples of career path that graduates have pursued?
Yeah, so you can imagine, being quite an academic master's, a lot of our students do move on to PhDs quite quickly. So off the back of their master's, they sometimes apply to a funded PhD or a part-time PhD, depending on their needs and interests. And some of them moved into lecturing positions. We even had some, for example, one of our current members of staff went through our master's before, when it was called Sociology and Ethics of Sport. And she's now working in our department in physical education and health, and delivering classes to our students. Others are moved on to other universities. Outside academia, there's also colleges, which are again further education, where students are delivering courses, both theoretical and practical. And some students actually move outside sport. So one student at the moment is working in London for the Prince's Trust charity, which is a foundation for youth development, particularly in inner city areas. And they're using sport, but also other art forms and dance and music and things to keep people active and developing themselves, really.
Are there any internship or practical experience opportunity within the program? I mean, how does the program prepare a student for practical aspects of working in the field of sport, ethics, and society?
Okay, so there's no exact practical module that is, say, for example, industry placement, as some courses do have, but the independent study has the capacity to turn your professional experience into an academic exploration. So you could, for example, coming off the back of some years as a coach, you might then look into a coaching experience, or, for example, an issue in coaching and explore it more in depth using a desk-based study. So that could be a way of doing it. We could also use some equivalent work experience for example, a reflective assessment. So there's ways to make that applicable. And there's also the research methods module, where you're learning skills and ethical issues and how to work with people, interview people, observe them, which may also have transferable effects and how you present as well. So we do have some presentations in the module which will transfer to job interviews, for example.
Can you tell me about any notable achievements or recognition that the program has received?
Okay, that's a good question. I think that the program is well respected for how it's trained academics or researchers in the field. So we had some students working with our team of supervisors who've gone on to try and publish or submit their work or write for a journal or for a blog. So, for example, it could be an internal or external blog article, and some of them going into prestigious careers as well. So I think some of them working for charity organizations or research organizations as well. So I think it's well respected in what we produce, a high quality percentage-wise of people who are research active or have come into graduate jobs very quickly.
And what kind of support and resources are available to students in the program? Are there any research or networking opportunities that the students can take advantage of?
Yes, again, it depends on the topics. If a student's interested in a topic that the supervisor or lecturer is involved with, they can get involved with that. So, for example, the student who's interested in concussion, a few weeks back, Swansea University nearby Cardiff had developed their own centre of sport and society, SCORES it's called. So they had an event on concussion in sport. So I invited my dissertation student to come along with me to represent our university, so we could be involved in the cross-university discussions. And he's also going to come to an event I'm organising in my area, which is martial arts research. So again, if the supervisor finds something that's relevant to the student, we can invite them beyond the class time. We say, "Oh, come along to this," we encourage that kind of collegial atmosphere.
How does this program foster a sense of community among students? I
Okay.
mean, are there any extracurricular activities, events that encourage collaboration and engagement among students?
Yeah, I think one thing that helps sense of community is a relatively small group. Whereas some masters have a relatively large cohort. We normally have 8 to 10, or maybe no more than 12 students. So everyone gets to know each other. The staff each know each student, their background, their hometown, their sport, the club they support. We get to know you very quickly and very well. This enables a nice cohesive community. As also, we invite previous students into the welcome week so that the new students can get to know the older ones and see how they've learned from the course, and hopefully they can keep in touch. We possibly could even develop some kind of mentoring process where we could have the students at the end of the process submitting the dissertation, talking to the ones who are just starting their studies. So I think there's things we can still improve on and develop, as well as continue the good practices we already have in place.
And how old is your program?
Okay, so the program exists, I think, in different formats for around 8 to 9 years, I believe. It started off in M.A. Body and Society, I think it was called, before I came to university. And then it was called, usually it's 4 or 5 year period where a master's exists, and it has a program called the revalidation or periodic review. So it's been for a second review was a sociology and ethics, and now it's the sport ethics and society. So we're currently ending the first year of that. So we'll have another 4 years of that one. Yeah.
And are there any ongoing collaboration or partnership with other institutions or organizations in the field of sport, ethics, and society? I mean,
Yes.
how does this enhance learning experience for students?
Okay, so we have a link with Sport Wales, which is the governing body for sport in the country of Wales. And there are some projects where students have worked with almost like interns, looking at their coaching environments and are they ethical coaching environments. Some of the students previous years conducted their dissertation within that area. There's also scope to work with our own teams that have, say, for example, rugby, football, hockey, etc., and looking at the British University College Sports, or called Bucks. We have some staff are involved in projects looking at basically university sports. There's also a capacity for students to help out as research associates or research assistants. So there's always new projects. Often it's off the back of staff developing networks externally other universities. They may form a project where students can help out, basically. So each year is slightly different. There's always new and exciting things with highly motivated individuals on board.
And can you share any success stories or testimonial from past graduates of the program? How has the program impacted their professional lives or personal growth?
Yeah, sure. There's one case is when one of my old dissertation students, Sam, he completed his master's 2 years ago it was, and now he went back to work and he started to apply for PhDs. Now he's on a fully funded PhD at University of Brighton, and he's doing that looking at America. He's very much into American sports. So he came from a background in sports journalism, decided he wanted to go deeper and more critical, did a master's with us, and then he wanted to continue looking at it for empirical research, interviewing multiple methods, multimodal research, and he got involved with Mark Doidge, who's now at Loughborough, so he's working with internationally recognised researcher, and he's already doing examination boards or examinations, say checking the exams, and some teaching responsibilities in the university. So for me, that's a success story. As someone who wasn't that into academia, he's now got turned his way, and he has the background in the industry as well.
Right, that's a great story.
My time on the M.A. Sports Ethics and Society course really acted as the catalyst for me to want to pursue a career within academia, and it's the main reason why today I'm currently studying for a PhD at the University of Brighton. The course actively encouraged me to pursue my specific interest in American football, and it allowed me to explore the extent my specific field impacts and interacts with wider society. The teaching methods employed by George and the other university staff during my time at Cardiff Met has translated into my own style of teaching for both the undergrad and master's classes I now teach myself.
How does the program stay up to date with evolving field of sport, ethics, and society? I mean, are there any plans for future development or addition to the curriculum?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the staff, for example, are always keeping update with we go into conferences quite frequently. We are members of different professional networks. Some of them are local ones, some of them are national, international. And we also try to write and publish on a regular basis to get our work checked and invest in different projects. So that those mainly that I think the staff are updated, and we try to make sure that the students also keep us updated because they're always bringing fresh ideas from their sports. Because some of them might be from background in gymnastics. Even I learned about different sports like snooker, for example. I watched it on television, but I never really played it properly. Where some of my students is an avid snooker player, so they're always bringing in the latest stats or information to us. We're learning new things about the issues in those sports.
So, who is eligible to enroll in the master's degree in sport ethics and society program?
Okay, so basically, you don't necessarily have to have a first degree in sport, but it does help to have something related to, say, physical education, sports management, development. But you could also have education or journalism, although it's generally a social science, humanities background, and probably help a little bit more than science. But we've had some students come from more sciencey background. I think the rules are around between graduation and enrollment, generally, or application should be about within a 5-year window, but that we can make some exceptions to the rule. So I've recently tried to help a student who had more than 5-year gap between his bachelor's and the application. And I know that if it's an international student where English is not the first official language of the country, then IELTS, there's a certain IELTS level. I wouldn't want to quote me, but there's the university regulations expected a certain level. That IELTS certificate will be required for that. And you need 2 academic references typically, as well as your evidence of your certificate and transcript of your undergraduate program. So generally it's fairly accessible to people, different backgrounds, different interests, and now we become more international as well. So you've got one student from the Philippines in the current cohort, and one student who's looking for a scholarship from India, which I think you have a question about scholarships as well.
Yeah, so my next question was on scholarship. I mean,
Yes.
Do you have scholarship and placements assistance?
Yes, there are some scholarships from depending on the region you're from. So the student who's from the Philippines, I think he got the Southeast Asia scholarship program, which helps towards the fees. And there's also one for India and different regions internally to Cardiff Met, but there's also possibility to obviously apply externally, and then we can support you with that and write, for example, a reference letter. Once we've got to know you on a one-to-one basis through, say, a video call and looking at your application, we can support that application as well.
And what about placement and assistance?
Okay, so you mean, sorry, placement in a work placement?
Work placement, yeah.
Well, we can also support with the reference letter or checking CVs. Again, part of the idea of being a supervisor or a personal tutor, which usually falls to me as the program director, is checking the CV applications, providing references, even for ongoing students or former students as well, to make sure they're very employable and their ideas are presented in the correct manner. We can also practice, if they want to practice a presentation with us for a job, I'm happy to do that as well.
So broadly, like what percentage of students go for further education, for PhD, and what percentage goes for job?
It's a good question. I would say around, say, 20 to 30% would go into PhD fairly quickly. And then maybe another 10% might go in after a few years reflecting, working, they come back. So we had some of those even from undergraduate doing that. And then around 50% would go into work in different sectors and fields, often still in the education sector or charitable kind of social enterprise sector typically. Very few go into kind of, should we say, big business, commerce or finance kind of sectors. They usually go into helping society because they want to give back to the community.
Do you have any message for the prospective students who will be interested or who are interested in this master's degree in sports ethics and society?
Yes, I mean, please do get in touch if you want to talk to me. I'm happy to give you a one-on-one video call. I know that many of you might be internationally based in different countries, and I'm also happy to receive any questions via email. So if you want, my email is gbjennings, all one word, at Cardiff Met, again one word, .ac.uk, and then I can get back to you with any questions and make it individual. So all of you will have different needs and interests. So it's probably better to have a one-on-one communication. That's probably the best way. And I can also get in touch with any of our current or ongoing students, previous students, just to know about their experience, because obviously I am the program director, but you might want to obviously hear from a student as well. So
thank you so much, George. I think this is going to be very helpful for the students who are looking in for this course, master's degree in sports ethics and society. And thank you so much for speaking to us in our first episode of Sportingly Academics.
Oh, wow, I'm honoured to be part of the first episode and I appreciate the invitation. Thanks for listening, everybody.